Floyd Mayweather may be having the worst month of his life, and it just got worse. Just the other day, June 18th, a new lawsuit filed against Floyd Mayweather and his business partners Frist Apex Ventures, filed by CSI Entertainment and their other entities in the state of New York. I released 2 videos recently covering this story. This is now the 3rd in the trilogy about Floyd going broke, having issues with felony charges, and now a new lawsuit that looks really bad. The story begins summer of 2025 when Floyd Mayweather approaches Mike Tyson regarding a potential exhibition fight, because nothing screams like you're financially free and wealthy, quite like stepping into the ring at 50 years old with one of the most dangerous men on the planet, Mike Tyson. August 10th, 2025, CSI Sports Events and Frist, so Frist Ventures is the management group managing Floyd Mayweather, they enter into an agreement under which CSI secured the services of Mayweather to fight Tyson. So they have the services, they are the only ones, exclusive services to handle this fight. The Tyson agreement also allows CSI the rights of Mayweather for his training, his lifestyle activities, basically to create a show around the fight. I personally love when they do this, the 4 or 5 part series leading up to the fight. I watch all of that because I really enjoy it. But think about it, what we'll cover in just a second, they're essentially fronting, when they sign the contract, they're fronting millions of dollars to Mayweather. They're promising that they're going to pay him a lot of money. And so they need a way to monetize in any way they can and build up for the fight so that as many eyeballs will either buy the pay-per-view or watch the fight or attend the fight so that they can recoup their investment. The Tyson agreement prohibits Floyd Mayweather from engaging in any other fight before the Mike Tyson fight. This is incredibly important because you want him fighting Mike Tyson next, and then you'll see there's a big super fight coming up after that. But they want to make sure he's not fighting anyone before Mike Tyson. You'll see this come up later. This is one of the biggest issues with the contract. Floyd Mayweather was contractually obligated to make $14 million for the Mike Tyson fight. I really enjoy seeing these numbers because one thing Floyd's done really well over the years is come out and say he makes so much money, $100 million for this fight, $200 million for that fight. While it's possibly true, when you see the actual contract, you see how much he makes. It's entirely possible.
Now, why this is actually crazy before we continue is he's known as Floyd Money Mayweather, right? And isn't it ironic that it's money which seems to be his downfall in the end? Now, it's crazy because the type of person that Floyd Mayweather is, you're going to have half of the people out there who hear these stories that are coming out left, right, and center, and they're going to look at this and going to be like, this is a sad story. This is a guy who promoted, look, not being silly, being wise, investing your money into things which can continue to fund your lifestyle way beyond the fighting in the ring. But then you've got the other group of people who don't like Floyd Mayweather for whatever reason. They were hoping he would always lose his own in the ring. He didn't ever do it, at least up until now. And now they're like, well, look, this is the kind of thing which can happen, which is going to give us the last laugh. It doesn't matter what you think about Floyd Mayweather, but the truth and the reality is this is a sad story. Why? Because someone who's made over $1 billion, allegedly, right, in regards to career professional earnings from boxing, and he's apparently broke. Now, obviously, we have to bear in mind going broke as a rich person and going broke as a poor person is completely different. But nevertheless, he built his whole brand in his second arc in his professional career as not only TBE, the best ever, but as Floyd Money Mayweather, the rich guy, the guy who has so much money, who could spend so much money. But what happened? This is a tall lesson for all of us. It doesn't matter how much money you make. The more money you make, the wiser you need to become. Why? Because with more money comes more responsibility, yes. But then at the same time, there's going to be people, right? Boxing, people have been saying for years, is such a crooked business. There's so many people that will stab you in the back. So knowing that you're coming from this sort of environment, you have to be wise. You have to have wise counselors around you which can help you navigate through all these different situations in life. How can a guy who's made so much money now get to a situation where he's being sued because they're accusing him of breaching contracts in regards to upcoming fights? This is crazy. This is crazy on so many different levels.
Given that he's having so many money problems right now, it's possible that maybe he was lying or exaggerating about how much money actually went into his pocket from the fights. Regardless, $14 million, $2 million advance, $12 million to be paid to him one day after the fight. Now, I just mentioned a second ago about CSI investing in this. This is contractually obligated for CSI to pay him that much money. So obviously, they need to recoup first. They need to generate enough money to be able to pay Floyd Mayweather and Mike Tyson millions and millions and millions of dollars, which is why they want him to fight Mike Tyson next and for them to have all rights to all of his content around the fight. Everything's going well. September 4th, 2025, Floyd Mayweather posts he is fighting Mike Tyson. It is a signed agreement. Get ready, early 2026, we're going to see two of the greatest names in all of boxing history step into the ring together. November 6th, 2025, CSI Entertainment Events land the next big super fight. They got him to sign for the Mike Tyson fight, and now he's going to fight Manny Pacquiao. These are two big fights that are going to generate tens of millions, possibly $100 million in revenue. But the key here is that they wanted to sign, that Mayweather would sign, that the next fight after Tyson would be Manny Pacquiao. There's just two fights here. Mike Tyson, Manny Pacquiao, no other fights, Floyd. That's what you're signing. Similar to the Tyson agreement, the exclusive Mayweather fight agreement surrounding the Manny Pacquiao fight would allow CSI to have all of his rights. They were going to build up a show. I imagine there'd be a lot of content surrounding the fight. Lifestyle activities, his training, I imagine they would use that for promotional material, and they wanted the rights and they agreed to it. So how much would Floyd Mayweather get paid to fight Manny Pacquiao? Be $35 million base with 20% of event revenues for any pay-per-view component. Down here in the contract, you can see if the fighter is against Manny Pacquiao, it'd be $35 million payday. If it was Ryan Garcia or Rolly Romero or another fighter for a world title bout, the payment would drop to $20 million. But here's the key in the blue. An additional 20% of event revenues after CSI recoups the event budget plus a 20% return. So up here, it's a little misleading. 20% of event revenues of any pay-per-view. When you guys look up on Wikipedia and you see the Conor McGregors, the huge MMA fights, and Floyd Mayweather, certainly you can do the math. 2 million pay-per-view buys times however much people were paying, that's a huge number. And maybe they were getting a pretty big pay-per-view component. However, something to keep in mind is that the promoter, likely, I imagine for many of the other fights, they recoup their budget first plus a 20% profit. So if the fight doesn't do well, which it's entirely possible it doesn't do as well for him to get paid a super amount, then he would make $35 million plus a small amount after that. However, there was a $50 million buyout if there was no pay-per-view. So if this were to go to a streamer service and there was no pay-per-view component, Floyd Mayweather would make $50 million. And I know on my other videos, there were some mentions that Floyd Mayweather make $150, $200 million from these fights. He's still making multiple eight figures. Maybe not as much as he used to make, but this is still a really big payday. A key element of these contracts is that Floyd was getting an advance before the fight. So on November 6th, that same day that CSI signed an agreement for Floyd to fight Manny Pacquiao, they sent Floyd Mayweather $2.5 million as an advance, shall be paid upon signature. I didn't highlight it, but down here there was a second advance of $2.5 million and a third advance of $5 million. So in total, Floyd was going to get paid $10 million out of that $35 million base upfront before he even stepped into the ring. However, less than a month later, December 12, 2025, Mayweather signed a boxing and promotional services agreement with Players Era LLC. They're doing business as Ever Wonder Studios. You'll see that name within this video, so just know that this is a new agreement that he signed with an entity that is not CSI. Keep in mind, CSI is the plaintiff. This is the new company suing Floyd Mayweather for breach of contract. So this contract, this new Ever Wonder Mayweather contract, said that Mayweather would fight Pacquiao on Netflix. What the heck? Because CSI had the rights. This doesn't make sense. They would exclude CSI and entertainment events, their exclusive rights. He's basically going around them and saying, I don't want to deal with you anymore. I'm just going to sign a new agreement to get paid by Ever Wonder Studios and allow them the rights to put on the fight on Netflix. Under this new
Now, why this is so crazy, I was going to say this before, but as this story continues to unfold and more of this information comes out, it's like, this is why, number one, you have to make sure you know exactly what you're signing. Number two, you have to think about this, right? You always have to be a person of integrity. What you say out of your mouth has to mean something. It has to hold cachet. People have to be able to depend on what you say when you say it. If you say, look, I'm going to do this, be a person who follows through and does that thing. Don't be someone who says, you know what, I'm going to sign on the dotted line. And then later on you realize, oh, you know what, oh, there's a bigger stack of cheese, there's a bigger stack of cake somewhere else. Let me just renege on this and go in the complete opposite direction. That sort of stuff is always going to find you out in one way, shape or form. Don't plant those sorts of negative, devilish seeds, basically. You're going to reap them at some point in the future, and it's going to be deadly. It's going to be costly. What it seems like, based on what this guy's reporting here, is that Floyd Mayweather signed a contract first. He seemingly, no doubt, now that it was signed, there's obviously people that are going to come in like vultures and be like, well, wait, hold on. If Floyd's actually going to fight Manny Pacquiao, we want some of the revenue. We want some of the action. Let's come in and swoop in and offer Floyd some bigger purchase or bigger like pot of the pie. And obviously he's going to say yes. And obviously Floyd, if he really is in dire straits right now, in all sorts of financial problems, he's being sued by jewelers for taking money, jewelry and stuff like that. He's being sued by these companies. He's being sued left, right and center. Well, Of course, he wants to go for the money. But at the same time, like, again, I said this previously, what about your legal team? What are your legal team advising you? Are they advising you, okay, yeah, just don't worry about the contract? It would be hard to believe that's what's actually happening. I'm surely his legal team are professional and are going to say to him, well, Floyd, you signed this contract. You have to follow through with it, at least at a very minimum. You have to rope them into whatever new deal is coming onto the table and see if they can actually come to some sort of settlement or some sort of agreement. But it doesn't seem like that's what he did. It seems like he just said, well, look, there's a bigger pot of pie. I want that bigger pot. I'm just going to go there and see what happens. This is not the way to do business. And even if you think about this, let's say, for example, Floyd was able to sign this contract with the first company, get a bigger option, a bigger deal with another company, sign with them, and somehow get out of this scot-free. People are going to know this is the kind of business that Floyd does. Not everybody wants to do business with those sorts of people. People don't really want to do business with people that they know will try and stab them in the back. They want to do business with people who realize, okay, cool, both of us have a vested interest. Both of us want to fulfill this agreement because both of us are going to prosper and succeed in whatever way we've agreed to. You don't want to make an agreement with someone who says, yes, I'm going to do this today, and then tomorrow renege on it. That's like trying to go on a journey, walk down a pathway on sinking sand. You never know where the step you're going to take, which is going to be the fatal step, which is going to get you swallowed up by the sinking sand. This is crazy.
Contract, the ever wonder Mayweather contract, Floyd would be getting paid less, $24.75 million with the potential for a little bonus and a $2.75 million deposit, which I thought was odd because if we go back to the previous agreement he signed for the same fight, the Manny Pacquiao fight, he was going to get paid $35 million with the potential upside of some pay-per-view revenue, which given his extensive experience in this industry and his ability to sell fights, he has experience with making a lot of money from pay-per-view, I imagine. That's how he gets to the $50, $100, $200 million for a fight. So I'm curious of why he signed this. I do not know. However, here is this is a very large paragraph, but just focus on the yellow highlight. This is how he would receive the bonus of $3.75 million. And I'm sharing with you because I hope you enjoy reading this stuff as much as I do. I think the behind-the-scenes details is really interesting. Essentially, if cumulative global streaming views of the event measured on a live basis, plus the 24 hours immediately following the live broadcast across all platforms, equal or exceed 26.3 million verified views, then Mayweather would receive the $3.75 million as a one-time bonus payment. 26.3 million viewers seems like a lot, but Jake Paul's been able to do it, and I think a Pacquiao-Mayweather second fight on Netflix, if you didn't have to pay for a pay-per-view, I think you could generate that. But still, I'm still left wondering, why did he sign this contract if he's going to get paid less? Now he breached the other contract, so there's damages there, and now he's signing a new contract for the same fight? I'm confused. To make the story even more confusing, CSI wakes up on February 3rd, 2026, and they see that Iron Mike Zambides posts on his Instagram that he's fighting Floyd Mayweather on June 27th. They're confused because they had an agreement signed by Floyd Mayweather that he would fight Mike Tyson first and then Manny Pacquiao. No other fights allowed. And now they're finding out that he's decided around them, behind their back, he's now fighting a guy in Greece on June 27th? This makes no sense. I'll skip some of the words in the complaint so that I don't bore you with the details, but essentially, CSI now has to amend the agreement because they realize they've been screwed by Floyd. They probably don't want to sue him. February 22, 2026, they reach an agreement between themselves, Mayweather, Frisk Ventures, his management team, and this new company, Everwonder. Within 60 days, Frisk would pay CSI Entertainment Events $2.5 million. Earlier in this video, I told you that Floyd received an advance. So they said, just give us back the $2.5 million. They're damaged, obviously, because they're not getting the rights to the fight. However, pay us back the advance and we'll walk away. Additionally, they would pay Mayweather an additional $5 million for the fight following the Pacquiao fight. The reason why they did this is because they also agreed that Everwonder, this new company that has the rights now, they would pay CSI Fight Sports $5 million. And this is down here at this highlighted part. CSI realized that, hey, let's get, since Everwonder now has the terms, they have the rights to the fight, give us $5 million, we'll turn around, we'll use that $5 million, and now we'll secure the rights to the exclusive rights to Mayweather's next fight after the Pacquiao fight. So CSI, I'm assuming here, they realize that they've been damaged, and to remedy this situation, they say, you know, we're dealing with a fighter that's not going to work with us. How about this? Let's hope he beats Tyson. Let's hope he beats this Iron Mike guy. Let's hope that he beats Manny Pacquiao, and then we'll get the rights to the next fight. Maybe that'll be the super fight that will get paid. And as long as they get paid back their advance, they're theoretically not damaged in any way. This paragraph heading is really funny to read. Mayweather threatens to breach and then demands $150,000 in cash. Nothing screams super wealthy, financially free, $100 million in assets and cash and jewelry like Mayweather claims, quite like essentially extorting someone for 150 grand in cash. But I also want to point out down here, there's a highlighted part, advise CSI that it should deal with Walter Jordan on his behalf instead of Rechnitz. So I put my...
And this is what you need to think about as well, why this is so fascinating. Remember earlier on where I was saying, well, look, why would someone sign a contract, then seemingly sign another contract, like he said, which is for less money, and not really be concerned about them suing him? Well, look, if you're broke, if you really don't have much assets, then what is the company, the first company, really going to be able to sue you for? Which is seemingly what happened. They said, you know what, well, let's just withdraw. We don't want to go to court. It's going to be a lot of money, etc. They get some bread given back to them, and they're like, okay, cool. They've niced us with some more bread potentially on the outside after Floyd has these battles. Maybe he's going to fight again, maybe not. We'll see. Right? But again, this is such a big mess. But the vital lesson we need to learn from this is it's not about how much money you make. It's about what you do as you ascend and as you make that money. Make wise choices with it, because if you don't, you could make $1 billion and still find yourself in this sort of turmoil like Floyd Mayweather seems to be. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. God bless.